One series, the road team can't win. The other one, the road team can't lose. We'll be talking both here this morning, as well as giving out some underdogs in Major League Baseball, including our best bet. But Mark Zinno, when it comes to the NBA playoffs, I ask you this. Which trend is more likely to come to an end this evening? There's a lot of things I'd like to ask you, quite frankly. But I would ask you this question for now. What trend is more likely to come to an end tonight? Home teams being 4-0 in the Pacers-Knicks series, or road teams being 4-0 in the T-Wolves-Nuggets series?
Road teams being 4-0 in the Nuggets Timberwolves series. Yeah. There's so much there with Denver. I mean, in reality, you just have to look simply at the numbers. This is a Denver team that struggled to shoot better than 45% and didn't in either of the first two games. I think they got to 46 actually in one of the games, but it was just terrible shooting all around. This is a team now that's shooting better than 54% from the field over the last two and better than 45% from three. Those are numbers that Denver is consistent and used to throughout the regular season. And I think that's really, Denver has kind of got their mojo back. All the momentum has swung back in their favor. You get a decisive swing game 5 at home in a place where, Denver has really been very, very good. I mean, ask yourself the question, BP, because you and I joke with this narrative all the time. They're not really going to lose 3 straight home games, are they? No, I don't think they are. I mean, they could. Yes, they absolutely can lose 3 straight home games, but it's not likely from where I sit. As long as Denver isn't wearing those stupid 5280 uniforms, they should be okay. Those things should be burned and taken to the top of Mile High and left there to freeze and then smash in a million pieces. If they're just actually wearing a normal Nuggets uniform tonight, which I'd really love to know before I make the bet, because if they're wearing those 5280 uniforms, I'm quitting before we even start. I'm putting those 5280 uniforms right up there with Karis LeVert and the Boston Celtics from last night.
If we have anyone with inside information on the Nuggets uniforms, please share that now in the comment section, or just give Mark Zinno a call. Please tweet at him, do something. He is desperate. I'll tell you this, Zinno. In Game 4 of this series, Nuggets T-Wolves, we did see another trend come to an end. Minnesota, going into that game, was a perfect 11-0 straight up and against the number this season when playing revenge for a home loss. Yeah, and in case you were wondering, the T-Wolves have not lost 3 straight games at any point this season. Went off back-to-back straight-up losses, Mark. They're 4-0 straight up, 3-1 against the number. Only non-cover came when they were 14-point favorites. I think that was against Portland or some also ran in the middle of the season. Indiana, New York, I'll say this. Wow. You talk about swings and perceptions. Obviously, everyone was writing the Nuggets off after they lost the 2 at home. Well, the Pacers, when they lost the first 2 games of the series in New York, they were plus 350 to win the series. They're now minus 145. They're favored to win this series. That is a massive swing, and I don't know if I'm on board with that. I know the Knicks are banged up. I know Thibodeau's running the starters into the ground. The absence of OG Anunoby, yes, that looms large. The team is 26-5 straight up, 20-11 against the number when Anunoby's on the floor, as opposed to 13-17 straight up in ATS without him. But the Knicks just have to continue holding serve at home. Tonight's line, I think this is absolutely worth mentioning, is a lot shorter than what the Knicks were favored by in games 1 or 2.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I have to believe here, and I genuinely have to believe that 2 things are going to happen. Like, one, the Knicks are going to have to start spreading out their bench a little bit and trying to get a little bit more involved, like they did in Game 3, a game that they almost won, could have won, should have won, where they got 24 points from Burks and McBride off the bench. I think that's necessary. That's number 1. Number 2 here, I think there is a 100% correlation between the side and the total here. That if you are taking the Pacers, you're taking the over, and if you are taking the Knicks, you are taking the under. I don't know that the Knicks can win another over game. I just don't know that they have it. Like, the shooting for the first 2 games in this series for the New York Knicks was not really consistent with who they are and what they do, right? Like, the Knicks shoot 46% on the season as a team. In Game 1, what did they shoot? 53%. In Game 2, what did they shoot? 57%. Like, you knew that had to come down to earth. Even in Game 3, the close game, they were at 47%. I knew the regression was coming for them, but the Knicks have got to find a way to grind this pace down and slow it down if they want a chance to win this game. I mean, I keep saying, look, at some point in time, I think the Pacers shooting has to cool off. 56% in game 4, 47% in game 3, 51, and then 52 in games 1 and 2. Like, isn't there some shooting regression coming for Indiana at some point? And I feel like if the Knicks have any chance to win this game, they've got to keep Indiana to like under 110. If they don't,
Wow.
I think they're dead in the water. I mean, I would even say more 105. This better be like a 109, 104 kind of game for the Knicks if they really want to win this thing. I don't like the game script with them. As you mentioned, BP, for as much as these starters have been run up and down, that fast pace is making them even more tired. Like, there's an argument to say, look, we could keep running these 7 guys out there nonstop as long as we play a slow grind pace. But if they're going to have to go up and down, forget about it. They're dead in the water. So I lean on the under, which means I lean on the Knicks here. But I don't know if I'll ever get to the window for this game tonight on officially on a play. Most of that's because my heart is too much in it as a Knicks fan here. And watching them blow this series after being up 2-0 would be the most on-brand thing for the Knicks that we've seen since Allen Houston.
Oh, wow. A blast from the past there. Look, the shooting's going to normalize from the last game. There's no doubt about it. You're not going to see, obviously, the wild shooting splits we saw in Game 4 in Indiana's favor. All right, let us know how you're betting the NBA playoffs tonight. Drop a comment down below. And if you do us a favor, smash that like button. It would be greatly appreciated as well. Moving to Major League Baseball, I'm going to hit the early game. Yes, there is an early game on Tuesday. Mets, Phillies, and believe it or not, I like the Mets at the plus price. They closed as favorites last night, Zinno. And it looked like they were going to win. And then Edwin Diaz blew it. You look at today's game, Buto's numbers are every bit as good as Aaron Nola. Look, the Phillies are going to be a public side. People are going to see Nola, kind of a short road favorite. The Phillies have obviously been hot. People are going to like the Phillies. And the Phillies have had a great start to the season. But despite what happened last night, the Mets have the edge in the bullpen. Just look at the season-long numbers. The Mets bullpen has been better than the Phillies bullpen. I also like the Mets numbers against righties. Nola is a righty. 106 WRC plus for the Mets against righties over the last month. I think the Phillies are going to be due for some regression. I think we're getting close to the peak of the market on them. They've got some key absences in the lineup right now. Turner, Realmuto, Schwarber, all question marks on whether or not they're going to play today. And this is crazy, Zinno. Look at who the Phillies have faced this season. Only one team that currently has a winning record, and that was Atlanta in the very first series. So I like the Mets at the plus price at home early on Tuesday.
Well, I'm going to go the other part of New York and look at the Yankees-Twins series as they get started in Minnesota as Carlos Rodon takes on Chris Paddock. I kind of get the feeling the wrong team is favored here. I have said repeatedly I'm not a huge fan of Carlos Rodon. And, you know, I for whatever reason, he's just not that good of a starter at all. And the Twins have done a great job at hitting left-handed pitching this year. They're 7th in WRC plus and in OPS and 3rd in batting average in all of Major League Baseball. The one downside to the Twins is they have a high strikeout rate, but guess what? Against lefties is actually lower than where it is. And you're looking at a team with the a low walk rate too against lefties. So regardless of all that, I say all that to say that I think the Twins offensively here are in a good position against Carlos Rodon. Chris Paddock has been a starter for Minnesota that has kind of been a little bit feast or famine over his last 5 starts. Or what, 9 runs allowed, no runs allowed, 4 runs allowed, no runs allowed, and then 1 run allowed. But the teams are 6-1. The Twins are 6-1 when he starts this year. So I feel pretty good about Minnesota in this spot here. Yankees coming off a good series win over Tampa Bay. They get the day off. They head out to Minnesota here. And they've usually owned the Twins for a better part of the last 15 years. But nonetheless, here, I'll back Minnesota and chase a little plus money here on the money line.
Couple underdogs from Zinno and I here. He likes the Twins. I like the Mets. All right, Mark, before we get to the show, best bet, which is an even fatter underdog price. Oh, by the way, time to talk about what we've got going on tonight at WagerTalk.com. I've got a 2-for-1 deal in the NBA. 2 plays, just $19, 24-11 run in the association, 6-2 all sports the last 4 days. Rare loss in the playoffs last night. I should have just taken OKC instead of OKC over their team total. Nevertheless, been seeing it well in the playoffs. In fact, you go back to last year's finals, up 67 units in the NBA, 87, 59-2 long-term run. Also on a 10-2 soccer run as well after yesterday's winner on Barcelona. We'll have a little more soccer for you up at wt.buzz/BP later today. Mark, what do you got going?
Continuing to stay hot in the NBA as well. Tough night last night. Took it on the chin as the Boston Celtics could not end up holding on to that lead. And thank you for only scoring 7 points in 8 minutes. And thank you, Karis LeVert, for ruining a night for a lot of people. But we can move on from that and don't need to relive it. Just go to my Twitter account and watch me have a conniption live on television. We can move on from that as well. That said, we are still 10-5 over our last 15 plays in the association, remaining red hot as well. You can go back to the end of April. Back to the beginning of April, rather, and just watch a 65% clip in the NBA that I've been running at. So, as BP said, seeing the board really well right now. Locked in for one play on the late game so far tonight. Again, not sure I'll get to the window on Knicks and Pacers, but definitely locked in for a play in the late game between Denver and Minnesota. So make sure you guys jump in there, wt.buzz/MZ. Go get that play. Also, we'll have some baseball coming up as well here for me at the site, wt.buzz/MZ.
By the way, speaking of baseball, and we'll get to the best bet again in just a couple seconds. Right now at WagerTalk.com, you get the next 7 days of MLB from Mark or myself or any other WagerTalk handicapper for that matter for just $49. That's just $7 per day for every MLB winner for the next week. You just click the deals tab over at WagerTalk.com to take advantage. It's right there. Okay, show best bet time. We had a rare loss yesterday on this one. Zinno the Brew Crew. What a no-show that was. That was embarrassing. But we're still 63% with show best bet since we've begun doing the morning wager together. For today, we are getting a little exotic.
Yes.
With this best bet at a plus price. Tell the people what we are looking at.
Well, we are going to look at the Nationals and White Sox here, who are, as Ernie Banks would say, let's play two. They are playing two because they got rained out yesterday. Now, the Nats yesterday with Trevor Williams on the mound was part of my double play. That game got rained out. We're going to get that same matchup today of Trevor Williams against Chris Flexen in the first game, the early game that starts at 4 o'clock Eastern. Williams has been one of the most consistent starters, not only for the Nationals, but in baseball. 4-0, 1.96 ERA, and a 1.06 whip. He's allowed just 27 hits in 36 2/3 innings, and he's yet to allow a home run. This is against a White Sox team that, last time I checked, cannot hit a baseball. Like, literally cannot hit a baseball at all. So we love the pitching matchup there. And let's get nuts because we're now going to go for the sweep of the doubleheader. Both games, parlay them together. Nationals to win them both. Why? In the second game, they're starting Mitchell Parker, another quality starter here for the Washington Nationals with a 2.67 ERA, a 1.07 whip. He is just not putting guys on base. He's only got 5 walks in 27 innings this year. He's made 5 starts. He's allowed for less than 3 runs in every single one of them. Love the matchup here against a White Sox team that flat out cannot hit. Eric Fetty starts the second game. He's been probably the most consistent starter for the White Sox. But guess what? Eric Fetty, you know where he used to pitch last year? Washington. Yeah, go figure that. So a little revenge spot here for the Nationals against their old starter here. But both games of the doubleheader, BP. Nationals sweep this thing, and we are looking at very plus money here, correct?
Yes, plus 250. By the way, with the Cubs losing last night with Imanaga on the mound, Williams, you talked about how great he's been to bet on. He's the most profitable starter if you would just bet on him in every one of his starts. He's the most profitable pitcher in all of baseball right now. So Nationals plus 250 to sweep the doubleheader on Tuesday. Let us know what you think of that down in the comments section. And once again, if you liked what you heard today, give us the old thumbs up. Mark and I appreciate that very much. We also appreciate if you subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel as we dole out these free winners Monday through Friday here on WagerTalk TV. If you're not already subscribed, it's very simple. You just click the subscribe button right there on your screen. That way you don't miss any of our exclusive sports betting content. Okay, another edition of the Morning Wager now in the books. Mark Zinno, it is my understanding, Karis LeVert, questionable for Cleveland in Game 5 as he is in hiding from you. very scared. I think I just saw him running the woods by my house.
I actually wish Jeff Galooly to show up at his front door with a bat.
Oh no, come on! That's an incredible. That's two mid-90s. That's two '90s references you've had with Allen Houston and Jeff Galooly. You're on point today, man.
Nothing was going well back then, and it's still not going well now.
Okay, well, on that note, he is Mark Zinno. I am Bryan Power. Until next time, let's cash some tickets.